Hey everyone, I'm back for another video. Yes, 2 in 1 day. I've got no family, so I can chat without any interruptions. So this story is going to be about my adoption, why I got adopted, the process, what we told about it, how we saw our parents, etc, etc. So it starts off before I was even born. I have a half sister who's probably in her 40s now, and then should be 42, I would believe. And then 2 years later, my other half sister came along. By that time, I'm not sure exactly of the story because I wasn't born yet. Docs, I guess, started to get suspicious. I know my adopted parents tried to take the eldest one, but docs were like, no, nothing's going on, she's fine where she is, which I believe she did stay in their care, but she turned out pretty messed up, to be honest, from what she went through. So I know when my eldest half sister that I grew up with, she was born, and I'm not sure what time frame. I know probably before she was 6 months old that they fostered her, and then 2 years later my middle full sister came along and they took her as well. I'm not sure what age. And then 2 years later I came along. I know we were with our birth parents for probably the first 3 months of our life. And then when situations arise, we were taken out. So my real mother was an alcoholic. She was addicted to drugs. My real father, he wasn't an angel either. But the breaking point for docs was when my real father was at work, and he'd proven that he'd been at work the whole time. My birth mother came to hospital with me and said, look, she's got all these bruises on her, all these burns, these cuts, just horrible markings for a 3-month-old to have on them. I was like, had, neck fingerprints around my throat. I was very undernourished. I was starving. I had sores all over my bottom for not being changed regularly or bathed properly. And she pretty much was like, the real father did this, can, you take him away, etc. And then docs became involved in that because of the previous situations with the other kids. And I believe until I got fostered first, I was in the care of my real dad's mum, my grandmother. Now, without her stepping in, I would have copped a lot more abuse. The other two sisters, the full sister and half sister and the other half sister, copped a lot of abuse. Now, I would have copped that same amount, and people go, well, you're only 3 months, you wouldn't remember the trauma. But unfortunately, if you're in a situation where you have trauma and you're under a year, it can rewire your brain, which is why I have the borderline personality disorder, why I've had a lot of health issues, asthma, weak bones, uneven hips, etc. Was all because of this situation, because my real mother, she did drugs and alcohol before she was pregnant with us, while she was pregnant with us, and after. She wasn't breastfeeding, so I guess that kind of saved us a little bit. And so I'm not sure exactly, when we became fostered to adopted. back then you didn't legally have to go through all the paperwork and be adopted. So I know that they just fostered us, and then after a while Docs was like, we've got to find a permanent home for these 3 girls, and my real father stepped up and said, I don't want them separated at all. And because we'd grown up for a few years together as well, by the time this had come into play, my foster parents were like, because they couldn't have kids at the moment, different story, and they wanted a lot of kids, so they're like, no, we're going to take all 3 of them. And growing up, from a very young age, birthdays, Christmas, Easter, we saw our birth parents. It was always under Doc's care with our adopted parents there, and I was always in a public place, so like a park or McDonald's or places like that, so there was no risk that they could take us, basically. Not that I think they wanted to take us. So yeah, we always knew growing up, like there wasn't a point where they sat us down and said, hey, you're adopted and we're not your real parents, and these are your parents. Like, growing up, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we always knew that we're going to see our birth parents, and we knew the reason why we were adopted. Like, I think people that are adopted or fostered should never keep it a secret. Like, we always knew growing up, and that reduced the stress and the trauma. And like, because we'd been with them since babies, I was like, you know what, I don't care if you gave birth to me, you're the one that changed me, you're the one that fed me, you're the one that stayed in hospital with me when I was really sick, as I was a lot. I was a very sick child and a very sick baby. I was like, you're the one that did all the hard work, you are my parents, there's no doubt about it, and so growing up, because of the situation and the trauma I experienced when I was younger, I had a lot of behavioural issues, so it was really hard for me to settle in and adjust. And I think they've been really sick, and I was used to being the youngest one. When I was 7, my adopted parents managed to have a boy. So my brother, we were 7 years apart. I was very jealous, very aggressive. I had a lot of aggressive tendencies. I get picked on from the oldest one, so I'd pick on the middle one. So it was just decided that I lived with my grandparents. Now, before this, we used to do respite care, and the really sad story with this is I'd go to someone's place for respite care for a weekend or for a week in the school holidays, and I wasn't exactly treated the best. I remember being a little kid, being told I wasn't wanted, being told I was only taken care of by my adopted parents for the money, being told that I was so bad that nothing was going to fix me. Like, when I was 10 or so, I remember going to Westmead to this, it was kind of like a hospital setting where you had nurses and doctors, but also like a family unit. And I remember, being there for 2-3 weeks, and at the end of it my parents being told, hey, we can't fix her. There's something so wrong with her that she can't be fixed. And then I went to several foster carers for breaks growing up during my high school. And I stayed with a family for a year when I was 12, just turned 12, or just about to turn 12. And it wasn't the best situation. Like, they never let me see my friends, they never let me have friends. There was a child next door, they never let me play with her. Even though they were an absolutely lovely family with several children. So I was very sheltered away from everything. I was bullied at school at this point. There's several instances where they would just leave me on my own to, they'd leave me on my own to go out for dinner. So they'd just set me up with movies and junk food, and that would become quite a regular thing. And as a 12-year-old, your voice isn't heard because you're seen as a naughty kid. Like, I remember having one of the docs workers come over one day to look after me. I'm not sure the circumstances, and I was like in the toilet, she's like calling out for me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in toilet, and she's like, oh, I couldn't hear you, blah blah blah, you know. So they lived with me as a naughty kid. So I was there for a year, tried to reintegrate into my family, which wasn't the best situation for me. So a decision was made to live with my grandparents. Now, I hated it, but I loved it. I was so spoiled. I was given whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I didn't appreciate anything, you know. But at this time, my mental health issues had started to come into play. And I think everyone just saw it as an attention thing, where now we know it kind of wasn't an attention thing. It kind of was, it kind of wasn't. So basically it was my way of saying, hey, I'm not coping, I need someone, because I would push people away and get independent. Then I'd be scared and be like, oh crap, I can't do this, so let's do something stupid to get it, to say I'm not okay. My feelings weren't validated, but I mean, like, my grandparents, they never raised a teenage girl. They had 5 boys, you know, and this was back in the day. We had a massive generation gap between us. They loved me, even though they never said I love you. You know, they showed it by giving me stuff, or by taking me places, or just spoiling me. And I have a really good relationship with my grandparents still. But there are several places where they were just totally horrible. Like, a couple in Dorrigo I went to, well, it was my grandparents for respite, and, you know, like, I was a vegetarian at one point, and they were just like, you are so disrespectful for not eating food that we provide, like, how dare you? And, like, I provide all my own food. Like, my grandma would pack me all this vegetarian stuff and send it away, so they didn't even have to worry about cooking for me. I'd do it for myself. I'd be in circumstances where I had other younger foster children, and I was the babysitter. I had to take care of them. Like, I was 13, 14, 15, you know, and I had to take care of 2 and 3-year-olds and babies while they went out and did their own thing. And so I became a carer to a lot of younger children when I was in a situation where I should have been cared for. So I didn't have the best experience with dogs, the Department of Community Services. It wasn't until I stopped at Burnside that I felt my needs were heard. My needs were met, and they matched me up with some really fantastic foster carers, you know, that were Christians, and I had the same values, and that were actually in it because they really cared about the children, and they wanted to make a difference in their lives. And, you know, I was heard until I left the system when I was 25. So basically, you're in the system until you're 18, and then from 18 to 25, you know, you have, it's called young adults or something like that. It's basically to help people who have been in foster care transition into adult life. So basically, I pay for my courses, I pay for clothes for my courses, I pay for, you know, bedding or furniture or small things. I had a set amount put towards things that would help me. And so I am really happy that I was adopted. I don't think a lot of people would say that, but, like, you know, I saw my birth mother until I was about 15, and then she would just slander things, and it was just like, nah, see you later. Haven't really seen it since. I'd lost contact with my real dad, but I probably about 3 years ago, I found him again, just randomly in the street. And then we started getting a relationship, and, you know, he would spoil me, or we'd just catch up, and things were good. And then he got remarried about a year ago, and yeah, I just never heard from him again. So, and we also found out that we had another half sister from when he got remarried after my mum, and we didn't know about her. He never told her about us, and it wasn't until one day she randomly found my middle sister, and then my sister contacted me and said, hey, we've got this half sister, here's her details, do you want to chat to her? I was like, absolutely, you know, I can't wait to meet her one day. You know, she has mental health struggles as well, and so it's really good to know that I wasn't alone growing up in those circumstances. So we were taken out for a very good reason, but I would critique dogs for not listening. They need to listen to children when they are in care and say, hey, this isn't working, hey, I'm being abused, hey, I'm being left alone, hey, I'm being left to fend for myself, you know? Or I'm having to look after other children when I should be looked after. So that's just my quick story. Obviously, if I was older, I'd be a lot more in depth, but as a baby, I'm only going on what I know from reports that I've seen or that I've talked to about with my real father or my adopted parents. And basically, if you're thinking about adopting someone, I'd say do it. Don't go to China or all these other countries. That's great, but look in Australia or Ireland or America or whatever country you're from. There's so many children that are so neglected in your own country that really just need a second chance. Like, I would not be alive and I would not be here if my adopted parents didn't turn around and be like, hey, we're going to give some children, you know, a life. We're going to give them a second chance. So just consider it, and yes, there's going to be issues, especially if the child's been through trauma, if they're older, if they're younger, you know. You never know, because I was younger, I grew up knowing them as my parents. My real parents. And I call them my real parents. Like, people go, oh, they're just your adopted. I said, no, they're my real parents. You know, I have my birth parents, and then I have my mum and dad. So that's just a quick overview. If you have any video ideas that you want me to do in the next few days, just leave a comment below, and I will try and do what you guys want. Bye!